Good morning, students. Today we are going to do the first chapter, and if I'm not wrong, I have already sent you one link or one video of this particular chapter. And today we are going to study about the Indian Constitution and class 8, and this is going to be the first chapter of civics. Number one, it's the name of the chapter is the Indian Constitution. The name of the chapter is the Indian Constitution. So when we say when we say Constitution, we should know first. We should know what is the meaning of Constitution. And in your earlier classes, you have already studied about Constitution, and you know, I guess you all know that what is Constitution. So let me define this Constitution in a brief way or in an easier way. Number one, what is Constitution? A set of rules or fundamental FND fundamental law of a country by which the country is governed. Okay, so here, this is going to be the exact definition of constitution. What is constitution? Okay, here what do you see is a constitution is a set of rules or fundamental law of a country. See, you can either write this or this, but both are same. Number one, a constitution is a set of rules. It is a rule, or it is what type of rule? It is the fundamental law of a country. That means fundamental means the most important rule of a country by which the country is governed. The word govern, the governor or the government governs the country. At that time, what happens is governments ruled. Governments, it means ruled. So what happens is a constitution is a set of rules or fundamental law of a country by which the country is governed. That means what happens is in our country there is a rule which will govern our country, and that particular rules is called as constitution. And what happens is in this constitution there are different types of rules, there are different types of laws by which the country will run or country will function smoothly. So before we study about this constitution, what comes in our mind is who made the constitution? Number one, when did they make the constitution? Number two, how much time it took to make the constitution? Number three, and number four is when was constitution adopted? And I hope I have a question four. I have got four questions, and I hope you people are smart enough that you may know all the answers. But there are few students who may get confused or who are confused. Let me explain them in a better way. So what happens is, now before I drop, let me revise it. We are in the chapter the Indian Constitution. The Constitution is the supreme or the fundamental law of a country by which the country is governed. Now let us know who made the Constitution. Number one, now is who made the Indian Constitution. Okay, what comes in our mind is constitution. There is a constitution in India, but who made the constitution? This is most important. So what happens is there was a person who was the chairman of drafting committee, and his name was B.R. Ambedkar. B.R. Ambedkar. And see, who made the constitution? The chairman of the drafting committee was B.R. Ambedkar, and along with him there was 389 members who helped him to make the Indian Constitution. That means in Indian Constitution is altogether was made by 390 people. 390 people, because there were 389 members. Along with them, there was B.R. Ambedkar, uh, and these people, they made the Indian Constitution. And you all know that B.R. Ambedkar or Bhim Rao Ambedkar is called as the father of Indian Constitution also. Okay, so who made the Constitution? See, Bhim Rao Ambedkar along with 389 members made the Indian Constitution, and these people, they made the Indian Constitution. Now another question arises is, when was it made and when was it adopted in India? Now another is, now I have already explained you who made. Now when was it adopted? The Constitution of India was adopted on 26th of November 1949. So see here, there is a when was it adopted? When this is the question, and there are two technical answers. Please listen it carefully. Number one, see here, on 26th of November 1949, it was adopted. When was it adopted? It was adopted on 26th of November 1949, and it came into force on 26th January 1950. See here, there is a technique. When was the Constitution of India adopted? Constitution of India was adopted, see here, adopted on 26th November 1949, and it was adopted. It was adopted, number one. Number two is, it came into force on 26 January 1950. It means that, let me give you a simple example. You all bought one bicycle on Saturday, but you started riding that bicycle on Sunday, which is the holiday. Okay, it's just like that. That means, when did you buy that bicycle? It was on Saturday. But when you started using that bicycle, or when you started playing with that bicycle or riding that bicycle, it was on Sunday, right? It was like that only. See here, it was adopted on 26th of November, and November, December, January. That means nearly about then after next month, which is 26th of December, and next 26th of January, that means after 2 months, it came into force. That means the Constitution of India was implemented in India. It was adopted on 26th of November 1949, and it came into force in 26th January 1950. Any problem? I guess you understood it. Okay, now third question which arises is, how long it took to frame / make a constitution. Okay, it took 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. See here, another is, I told you when it was adopted, when it came into force, who made it, and number three point is, how long it took to make or frame Indian Constitution. That means it took 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to frame the Constitution. That means it took nearly about 3 years to make or to draft the Indian Constitution. Now students, let me revise it once more. Number one, the Constitution is the supreme rule or the law of a country. Number one. Number two is B.R. Ambedkar who is known as the father of constitution. Along with him, 389 members made the Indian Constitution. It was adopted on 26th of November 1949. It came into force on 26th January 1950. It took 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days to frame the Indian Constitution. I hope you are clear and you understood it. Okay. Now let me go to another thing. Now these are the notes which I'm going to send it to you. Okay, now let me give you a gist of constitution. See, when we speak about constitution, uh, there are different types of constitution. Let me tell you about constitution. Okay, and some of the constitution is called as written constitution, and another type of constitution is called as unwritten constitution. I'm just explaining you. I'm just highlighting this point right now. I will explain you it later on. But what happens is some of the countries, they have got written constitution, and some of the country they don't have written constitution. Example, written constitution is there in India and USA and in many more countries. Example, I'm just giving you example. In case of unwritten constitution, the constitution are not written like in India and USA, but there the constitution are verbal, which is not written. Example, UK, United Kingdom, or England is a suitable example of it. Okay. And another is, let me tell you, there are different types of features of Indian Constitution. Features of Constitution, which is written, unwritten. There will be rigid Constitution. There will be flexible Constitution. Okay, and I'm going to come to it. But let's go and I'm going to explain you another topic, and I'll come to this point again. Okay, number 2. Next is, why does a country need a constitution, or why does a country need a constitution? See, this is an important question. See, I told you about the constitution. Now another thing is, why do we need a constitution? Why do we need a constitution? See, we need a constitution for different purpose. Number 1, I have written here, and now I'm going to explain the notes which is going to come. Number 1, we need a constitution for these reasons. Number 1, constitution is the basic rule by which the democratic government can function. Number 1 is, it is a basic rule to function a country. So what happens is, if there is a constitution, and that means there will be a rule, and when there is a rule, at that time it will be easier for a country to function or to operate. And if there will be no constitution, at that time everything will be in a mess. So what happens is, there is a rule, there is a constitution. For that reason, we all are protected, and our country is mobilizing or going forward in a better way. Number 2 is, constitution protects the rights of freedom. It protects rights, rights and freedom of people, which means that according to this constitution, what happens is, we people are protected. Today, what happens is, you and I, we have got fundamental rights. That means nobody can abolish our fundamental rights. If somebody will abolish your fundamental right, at that time what happens is, you have got right and authority to file a case against them. So this is our right. Who protects our right? It's our constitution that protects our right. And number 2 is, we are also given freedom in the constitution. According to the constitution, there is a freedom. Example, let me give you one example. There is a freedom of speech and expression. You can express anything, you can talk anything, but it doesn't mean that you can hurt anyone, and you can talk illogical things. but what you have is you can share your ideas, you can share your thoughts. Okay, those are the freedoms which has been given by the constitution, and it is there. I'm going to come to I'm just telling you a gist of it. I'm going to come in on this topic also. Number two is, number one, it is a basic rule that functions our country. Number two is it protects the right and freedom of a people. Number two. And number three is, okay, number three, I have written that it guards against the misuse of the power of the government. So if there will be no constitution, there will be no rules. At that time, if there is no rules and the people who are governing you and me, example, there are state government, central government, they can monopolize or they can do whatever they like. But there is a constitution which will make by which they have to act friendly, and they have to act in the way by which the constitution is describing them. Today we are in lockdown. Okay, so what happens is, in this lockdown, what happens is the state government is functioning and the central government is also doing their function, and these functions are there in the constitution and they are following the rules which are there in the constitution. And do you if there would not be any constitution at that time, each state would have done their own according to their will and wish. Another state will do their own will and wish. Central government will do according to their will and wish, and that would create mess in our country. Today, what happens is, we Indians, we all are fighting against COVID. Why? Because there is a constitution for us. Because there is a rule for us, and this this constitution will not allow any government to mislead their power. For that reason also the constitution is important. Next, constitution also protects minorities, lower caste and underprivileged groups. So I want to explain you this. Okay, see, because of constitution, what happens is there is a minority. There are two types of minority in India. One is minority according to the basis of religion. Say for an example, religion, the people, a group of people who are religious, and if they are in lower numbers, if their numbers are less, these people are called as religious minorities. Example, Christians. These people are religious minorities. Sikhs, they are religious minorities. Number two is caste minorities are also there, but I will not touch it. Now another is lower caste. So what happens is, you and I, we people are in a society where most of the people, they are educated and they don't follow this barrier of caste. But there are many places in India and in abroad also, they follow this casteism, where the higher, or the people belonging to higher caste will suppress the people belonging to the lower caste. So what happens is, this constitution also protects them. This constitution also protects minorities. This constitution also protects the people belonging to lower class and underprivileged group. Underprivileged group means the people who will not get any facilities, or these people don't get any privileges from social either socially, economically, politically. Okay, and these people are also safeguarded by the constitution, and there are many more. I just jotted down 4 points. The constitution, I told you that constitution also protects the minorities, lower caste and underprivileged groups. So what happens is, why the constitution, I told you about what is constitution, I told you about who framed the constitution, I told you about when the constitution was adopted, I told you about how long it took to make the constitution, and I told you, oh, why does a country need a constitution. And there are four basic I have mentioned 4 points, and there are many more points which I will explain you in the further videos. And let me revise it once more. Why do we need constitution? Basic rule, because it is the basic rule to function the country. It protects the rights of the people. Number three, it protects the people belonging to underprivileged classes, minorities and lower caste. And constitution also balance the government, and by which the government, they cannot do anything by themselves, but they have to work under, or they have to work within the parameters which has been framed by the constitution. So thank you students, thank you very much. Now I'm going to upload this another video. In this video I'm going to I will just explain you different topics, and some of the topics will be related with this. Please watch the video, and if you have any problem, please text me personally if you did not understand. And along with that, I'm going to send you a few notes. Please jot down this notes in your copy, and please remember, please make two copies, thick, big and long, so that it will not be any mess. So you have, because in SST you have to cover three subjects. One is civics, history and geography. Okay, so if you don't want to make it two, just make it one, but rather I will say make it one. What happens is, but it should be thick, long and big, so that you can write everything there. So have a wonderful day, and stay safe, stay home, and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.